Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm in my comfy wear right now because this is a bit of an impromptu video. I just finished shooting outside for a sort of clothing haul slash DIY, but I wanted to address something. A couple months ago, I got an email. It was an anonymous email, obviously, because people don't have the balls to call you out under their real name. But I was called out nonetheless. It was basically in regards to a lot of the consumerism video that I do. I do a lot of, a lot of videos that not quite shame, but call out people for doing these incredibly expensive hauls where mere mortals such as ourselves, we really can't afford that kind of thing. You have rent, you have bills, you have kids, you're a mom, you have student loans. I mean, there are so many varying reasons why we wouldn't be able to just drop, say, $200 on a velvet skirt, as much as maybe we would like to. I know that this sort of breeds a culture to where we feel that it's necessary in order to be part of the goth scene. But it's really not. I make it a point to sort of really try to drive that home. And this video, or not this video, I'm sorry, this email was saying that, you make all these videos, putting these people on blast for doing X, Y, and Z, when in fact you get paid for doing these hauls. I am not getting paid to do these videos at all, unless you count getting free clothing. So the way it works is kind of a bartering system. They send me an email and say, hey, you want to pick 5 to 10 items and you make a video and you get to keep the stuff? And I say, yeah, sure, I will totally do that. And what I do is I choose items that are under a specific price. So once we hit that price point, you'll be able to, say, build an entire wardrobe for pennies. And I think it's really important that we be able to be frugal. That way we have money for other things like eating, which is important. The best thing I can liken it to is from back in my modeling days. I used to do something called TFP shoots, and it was a common term used amongst models. Basically, if a photographer was budding and wanted to build their portfolio, they would contact a model and ask if they could work with you on a TFP basis, which means that you would get time for prints. So I would provide my time as a model, and I would in turn get the prints to use in my own portfolio, so we both sort of win in that situation, or even vice versa. I don't work with Romwe anymore. I don't work with Make Me Chic, but I do tend to like Shein because their clothing reminds me a lot of what I went for back when I was younger. I shopped not only in thrift stores. I think a lot of people who used to shop in thrift stores back in the day versus now will probably agree that they've gotten exponentially better. Back in the day, it was a lot harder to come across that real find, but nowadays, much easier. We had to shop in a lot of pop culture shops that were geared toward, for lack of a better way to put it, I know a lot of you like to use it, but normies. So we would shop in those types of stores, and so long as it came in black, you were good to go. There was a period around, I would say mid-90s, when Bjork was really blowing up, that there was a lot of plastic and PVC clothing, which I rated. And I had a lot of good plastic and PVC pieces. I remember this one. It was, I don't know how they did it, but on one side it was lace, so it was completely black lace, and they managed to compress it with clear plastic. So it was this dress that was sleeveless, zip up, high neck, and on the underside was black lace. The other side was clear plastic, and the effect was amazing, and I wish I still had it. I would rock that dress today if I still had it, but unfortunately I do not. I have a sort of continuity that I like to work with my channel, and I want to keep it based in the 90s. I know a lot of you think that I'm stuck in the 90s, but it's not really it. I want to sort of bring back a lot of the methods and a lot of the sentiment that had gone along with it. Not only just sharing stories with you, but a lot of the practices that were really useful, super helpful, and I want to keep with the theme of what I used to do and what I know. When I was a teenager, a lot of my money was spent on accessories and plain solid black clothing that I could just sort of interchange with one another. I could DIY, and the accessories is what really pulled everything together. A really good belt, but things like that, it personalized it and it made it unique and it made it your own. Something else that I did, which was, I think I had a lot of practice because it was a little bit of an obsession of mine, and I would take catalogs that I would find, a lot of just normal clothing store catalogs like Chico's or JCPenney's or whatever, and we would get them in the mail all the time. My mother would get them. I would make sure to get them before she did, and what I would do was I would create this fake scenario in my head, and I would say, okay, You have all the accessories that you currently have, you have all the boots and shoes that you currently have, and the hosiery. All you need is to choose clothing from this catalog because you have a concert or a club to go to tonight, and that is all you have to work with. So I would sit there like with a pen, writing notes on the side and picking pieces and putting them together and figuring out how I would DIY them. And I would put together all of these different outfits just based on the clothing that were really geared towards sometimes even soccer moms. But I did it and I made it work. And I think that that hobby kind of trained me to be really good at being able to spot things that look something that you just walk past on the hanger and say, no, that has potential. I want to be able to share that with you. I want to kind of show you how you can really look at something creatively. And whereas it may seem like something just standard or boring, you can work with this. You can make this work because you can make these additions. You could take these bits out. You could shred the sleeves. You could do anything. When I shop on these sites such as Shein, for example, and I do these cooperations, I'm not doing anything different than I did back in the day other than getting the clothing online. Because if you go into, say, a Rainbow, Mandy, a Joyce Leslie, any of those stores, you'll notice that their stock is very much the same. And the reason is because they use the same manufacturers. So you don't necessarily have to buy the clothes from, say, Shein. You could go into one of your local stores that use the same manufacturers such as those, and you could implement the same ideas. I've gotten comments, I've gotten messages from people saying, why do you support these sites, etc., etc.? Why don't you shop for natural hemp fibers or whatever? Who the hell can afford things made from natural hemp fibers? I know my 15-year-old self couldn't. There was no way. You don't have to spend crazy amounts of money just to stand out in the goth scene or just to even be part of the goth scene, because that's something I heard as well, that a lot of people feel as if they need to own these clothes to be a goth. And that's not true. So for this DIY that I did, it wasn't so much as a DIY, but it was more along the lines of how I was when I was in high school and the way all of our friends were. Looking at it now, it really was more of us kind of saying, look, accept us. We're one of you. Our accessories, like our jackets, our bags, our boots even, were a testament to our loves, our passions, and that would be the bands that we listened to. We would graffiti everything, even my CD book I would have, like that I have in the other room. It is graffitied. Let me go get it. This is my actual CD book from when I was in high school, and that's why it is horribly graffitied with nail polish. This, as you can see, did not go as planned. We have Corpus Delicti, Gothic Sex. They're a real band from Spain. People see Gothic Sex and thought I was some weird sort of fetishist. No. Malign, London After Midnight, Love Like Blood, Rosetta Stone, and don't fall. Lacrimosa. I was a big fan of Lacrimosa back in the day. Today, to me, they sound a lot like metal. I hope that helps explain things a little bit better, and as always, links to everything will be in the description, and I hope you enjoy. Bye.
Between the nights, it's tearing boredom that only could precipitate the steps of decay.